Hello everybody and welcome to Smack the Markets Trading Room Weekly Market Wrap for weekend in the 27th of July. Now this week has been particularly challenging. There's been quite a bit of dried up momentum in the market. There's certainly hasn't been the trends that we've been used to, and that's made it quite challenging for us traders, or certainly trend following traders, to be able to identify some clean opportunities to be able to participate in those markets. Now, it's also been a particularly challenging time. We've been unable to keep the trend up and better the performance that we made last week of 7.5%. However, we did manage to make a few trades. So the trades that we managed to carve out here were, the first one was on silver. This was a swing short trade where the market sort of pulled back into the moving averages here on the 8-hour chart. We got a break of this candle, a stop above the high, entry below the low. The market sort of moved down. It got to our first target, and some of us in the room closed out at a 1-to-1. For me personally, I closed out half here and locked in the risk on the trade, and I was looking for the trend to continue, as it has been for quite some time. But in actual fact, this did come back up and stop me out. So this ended up being a scratch trade for me, but it ended up being a 1-to-1 trade for some of us in the room. Now, if we come to the second one, which was oil, this was again earlier in the week. Now, we did some analysis here, and there was a 69 level here in the market, which was particularly of interest to us. What we were doing was waiting for the market to break through this sort of 69 level and then start to look for entry opportunities to trade the market long above that area. Now, we did manage to capture a trade. Now, there's different traders managed to capture different entries in here. Some of us managed to capture a 1 hour trade, a 1 hour moving average trade. Others, like myself, I managed to sort of capture a 5-minute trade here as the market sort of like had a retracement, and that was the trade that I took myself. I managed to capture a 1-to-1 on this trade, but then I was looking for a longer move, so the market did actually come back and eventually sort of stop me out for a scratch trade again. So again, different traders managed to capture different sort of amounts out of that, but for me it did end up being a scratch trade. Then we had a couple of trades on Kiwi yen. This was the first trade, and the real idea for this was the macroeconomic picture and the structure on the higher time frames. We were looking for a break of this sort of level here and looking for positions short. We're looking for initially a move down here to sort of 74, just above that sort of 74 area. We managed to get a trade in here. Now, again, different people in the room managed to capture sort of different entries on here. The one that we broadcast in the room actually was a bracket here on the sort of 4-hour chart. It was actually a setup on a lower time frame, but this was the effectively what it looked like on the 4-hour chart. If I come down to the lower time frames, you'll be able to see a little bit more clearly the setup that we were looking for. So there was this sort of sideways consolidation. We were bracketing the sideways consolidation, got triggered into the trade, and eventually it did sort of move down. This was a momentum spike down based upon some overnight news, and this managed to capture, or allowed many of the people in the room to capture a 1-to-1. This missed my target by a couple of pips, and eventually this did come back up and get stopped out. So again, different sort of results depending upon how the individual traders traded it. Now, there were a few additional trades here that we managed to capture. These weren't particular calls, but these were markets that were on the watch list, and I'm glad to say that some of the traders managed to capture these. This was one on dollar CAD. We're particularly looking for a break of this level. We're looking for this sort of 131.20 level to get broken. It did after some news, and the market had a huge move to the short side here. Now, the setups that were caught, it was actually a very nice sort of retracement here on a 30-minute time frame. So this was our level up here, The market sort of broke this. We had the volatility down, pulled back into the moving averages. So it was a moving average plus a smack the markets trade effectively. And the market continued lower. So there was a good sort of at least a 2 to 3 to 1 here on this particular trade. Other traders managed to capture Aussie CAD, which was also on the watch list, but again, not a particular call that we published into the room. This one, again, was an intraday plays here on these lower time frames where we had just beautiful flowing trends, just moving averages after our sort of key level got broken, which was 97, and traders managed to sort of chip into this and sort of manage the positions as the trends continued. The last trade that we took today, in actual fact, on Friday, was this trade here. It was again on Kiwi yen, the same sort of macroeconomic analysis here was that the bigger picture level had been broken. So it was a significant level on the weekly, and the daily chart had been broken. The market had already started to trend lower, and we're looking for a 60-minute here moving average play. So what happened was, the market failed to really sort of continue the trend, and eventually the trend broke, and we had that sort of deeper pullback. So all in all, throughout the course of the week, from the sort of official calls that we posted into the room, we got about a scratch result if you played them the way that I played them, which was sort of locking in risk and looking for longer term targets. In hindsight, some of the traders just locked in one-to-one trades, and that was probably a better approach through this week, as we had a lack of momentum and a lack of those continuation of those trends. However, there's never going to be fantastic weeks every single week. We're still up by something like 17.5% on the month, so not bad so far. And we're always going to have weeks like this, as certainly through the summer months too. So hope it helps, and we'll look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.